Paramhansa Yogananda says, "Your wife is your grace and your karma." She is not just your wife. She is your past, your test, your grace. Have you ever paused in silence, in the midst of the bustle of your daily life, and asked yourself with an open heart, why this woman, precisely her, became my wife? Was it just chance? A series of fortuitous encounters? A seemingly random crossing of paths? Or is there something much deeper, invisible, that wove those threads so that two souls would meet in this journey of life? Paramhansa Yogananda taught us that nothing in the universe is coincidence. Life is not a chain of meaningless accidents. Life is a divine tapestry where each thread has its exact place, where every encounter is charged with purpose, where every relationship reflects an echo of the past and a call toward the future. And within that tapestry, marriage is not simply a human contract nor a social arrangement. It is one of the deepest karmic and spiritual experiences a soul can go through. Your wife is not with you only to share joys, hugs, and companionship. She is here because the divine law of karma so decreed. She is a mirror of your virtues and your shadows. She is the classroom where your soul comes to learn the lessons left unfinished in previous existences. And at the same time, she is the channel of grace that God pours upon you to sustain you when your human strength seems exhausted. Yogananda said that the souls that come into our most intimate life are those with the strongest karmic bonds with us. Perhaps in another life you loved her, perhaps you hurt her, perhaps things were left unfinished between you. And now, in this new cycle, you meet again to balance, to heal, to grow. When you understand this, you stop seeing your wife only as someone who fulfills a role in this life. Mother of your children, companion at home, confidant. You begin to see her as a traveler of the soul, as someone who has walked with you far longer than your human memory can recall. She was with you in stories you cannot see, and she may be with you, perhaps, in others yet to come. Because where there is a deep bond of love and learning, life repeats the encounter until the lesson is fulfilled and evolution is achieved. Marriage is a karmic mirror. Imagine for a moment that every word you speak, every emotion you feel, every action you take, leaves an invisible imprint on your soul. That imprint is karma, not punishment, not reward, but simply the divine record of the energies you sowed. What you sow in a soul returns to you, not always in the same life, not always in the same way, but always with the same essence. That is why your wife reflects your story. She shows you not only what you are now, but what you still need to transform. Her patience may awaken in you the need to learn humility. Her firm character may awaken your pride, so that you recognize it and work on it. Her tenderness may awaken your gratitude, or her silence may awaken your impatience. Whatever it may be, every interaction with her is a mirror where your soul sees itself. Yogananda taught that the home is the true battlefield of the spirit, not the caves and the mountains, nor the distant temples, but the kitchen where arguments arise, the living room where laughter and tears are shared, the bed where bodies and dreams are intertwined. There, in the most ordinary, is where karma is activated and evolution is accelerated. Your wife is your teacher in disguise. She is not there to always please you, but to challenge you to grow. When you argue, life does not seek to separate you, but to show you what aspects of the ego need to be dissolved. When she touches your deepest wounds, it is not to hurt you, but because your soul is ready to heal them. And when her love seems unconditional, it is divine grace showing you what God's love looks like in human form. Woman as Shakti, divine energy. In the spiritual traditions of India, the feminine is not seen as something inferior. On the contrary, it is revered as Shakti, the creative energy of the universe, the vital force that gives shape to everything that exists. Man, without that energy, is incomplete. Woman is the visible expression of the Divine Mother, who cares, protects, nourishes, and awakens. Paramhansa Yogananda often said that to see one's wife only as an object of desire or companionship was to miss the greatest opportunity. She is a channel of the Divine Mother in your life. If you look at her with the eyes of the ego, you will only see her defects or human virtues. But if you look at her with the eyes of the soul, you will see that in her shines the same spark of the eternal that lives in you. In her tenderness, you will find peace. In her strength, courage. Even in her complaints, hidden teachings. For even her reproaches are reminders of what you still need to refine in yourself. She is the chisel in God's hands, shaping your character, softening your hardness, filing down your pride. When you manage to see your wife as a divine spark, your home becomes a temple. It is no longer just a physical space. It is a place where God's energy circulates in every conversation, in every glance, in every act of mutual service. There, in the small things, the sacred manifests. The hidden karma in marital challenges. Many believe that marriage should be only happiness and companionship. But Yogananda reminds us that true love, like true spirituality, is not always easy. True love confronts you, shows you what you do not want to see, awakens dormant emotions so that you can transcend them. That is why your wife does not always bring you calm. Sometimes she awakens your anger, your insecurity, your selfishness. And it is in those moments that karma becomes visible. Not because she is wrong, but because your soul needs to evolve. Every misunderstanding, every argument, every prolonged silence is in reality a disguised lesson. If you reject it, it will repeat itself again and again. If you accept it and learn, it will dissolve and make you freer. Yogananda said, "Every trial is an exam to strengthen your soul." So when your wife challenges you, when she seems to bring out the worst in you, she is really calling forth your best self. She is asking your patience to expand, your compassion to grow, your love to mature. Instead of asking, "Why is she like this?" ask yourself, "What is this awakening in me?" That simple question transforms conflict into opportunity, argument into a doorway toward more conscious love. Marriage as sadhana, spiritual discipline. Many think that the spiritual path is walked only in temples, monasteries, or silent retreats. But Yogananda affirmed that true spiritual progress happens in the everyday, in the patience with your partner, in how you respond to anger, and how you transform an argument into an act of understanding. Marriage, he said, is a sadhana, a spiritual discipline, because each day it asks you to practice renouncing the ego, to exercise patience, to cultivate compassion. It is not about renouncing the world, but about transforming the world into an altar. Your wife is your practice partner. She is not there to walk behind you nor ahead of you, but at your side, at her own pace with her own trials. If you walk with respect and humility, your union becomes a sacred offering, a shared path toward the divine light. The hidden grace in the everyday. There are moments when your wife's presence is like balm. When the world weighs on your shoulders and just one word from her, one gesture, one silent look makes your heart feel peace again. That is grace. Divine grace does not always arrive with miracles or mystical visions. Many times it comes in the form of a woman who, without realizing it, holds your faith when it falters, believes in you when you doubt yourself, prays for you when you have no strength to do it. Every meal prepared with love, every genuine concern in her eyes, every small gesture that goes unnoticed is the Divine Mother touching you through her. But you will only see it if you learn to look with the eyes of the soul. Yogananda said, "Recognize God in those who serve you in the small and the constant." Your wife may be the grace you silently asked for. She may be in your life not only to balance your karma, but to lift your spirit. We have already traveled a path of understanding. Your wife did not come into your life by accident, but as the fruit of the divine law of karma and as a channel of grace that guides your soul. But perhaps you ask yourself, how to apply this in daily life? How to live in the midst of routines and tensions with this spiritual vision? Paramhansa Yogananda offers us the key, Change the vision. See beyond the surface. Look deeper than habits, words, gestures. He said, when you learn to see the soul in your partner, you begin to love with the eyes of God, looking beyond the form. Your wife is not just her name, her gestures, her character. She is an eternal soul, a spark of the infinite that today appears as your companion. But that spark existed before your encounter and will continue to exist afterward. When you see her only as a person, you remain trapped in the temporary. When you see her as a soul, you discover the eternal. Every time you argue, every time a difference arises, you have two options: react from the ego or respond from the soul. If you react from the ego, everything becomes a battle. Who is right? Who wins? Who imposes? If you respond from the soul, everything becomes learning. What part of me needs to heal? What teaching is there in this? How can I love even here? Your wife then ceases to be your wife in the limited sense and becomes your spiritual teacher in disguise, sent by life to refine you. Karma and grace, the two sides of the same coin. Paramhansa Yogananda explained that life is a perfect balance between two forces: karma, which brings the consequences of our actions, and grace, which softens those consequences and gives us strength to transcend them. In marriage, these two forces are constantly at work. Karma appears in conflicts, in intense emotions, in patterns that repeat again and again. They are echoes of the past seeking resolution. Grace appears in moments of tenderness, in unexpected understanding, in the hand extended after an argument. It is God reminding you that you are not alone in the process, that there is always a way toward the light. Your wife is both karma and grace. Sometimes she confronts you. Sometimes she consoles you. Sometimes she awakens your shadows. Sometimes she reminds you of your light. And in that dance, your soul learns to find balance. Marriage as the laboratory of the soul. Imagine marriage as a divine laboratory. There are two energies, two pasts, two karmas, two stories are mixed. The result is not always predictable. There will be explosions, silences, moments of chaos, and moments of beauty. But every reaction that occurs within that laboratory has a purpose: to refine your consciousness. There you learn patience, not in the abstract, but when she irritates you. There you learn humility, not in theory, but when she points out something you do not want to see. There you learn unconditional love, not as an idea, but when you choose to keep loving even in the midst of the storm. Yogananda said that life does not give us written exams, it gives us lived tests. And marriage is the most constant exam, because every day it tests your ability to love, to forgive, to grow. The moments of shadow. It is easy to see your wife as grace when she smiles, when she supports, when she understands. But what happens when she gets angry, when she criticizes, when she seems closed off? That is when the teaching becomes real. Your ego will say, "She is wrong. She must change." Your soul, however, whispers, "This too is part of the path. This too is a mirror." Perhaps her anger awakens your impatience. Perhaps her silence awakens your insecurity. Perhaps her firmness awakens your pride. In each case, it is not her against you, but you against your own reflection. She is showing what your soul needs to work on. If you reject it, the lesson will repeat. If you accept it, the lesson transforms into liberation. That is how karma works, not as punishment, but as teacher. The moments of grace. Grace manifests in such simple ways that often go unnoticed. A glass of water served without your asking. A word of encouragement when you were about to give up. A silent prayer made for you while you sleep. They are small gestures, but each one is a reminder that God acts through her. Paramhansa Yogananda insisted on recognizing divinity in the everyday, because there, in the simple, the Divine Mother draws near to you. Your wife, unknowingly, may be the channel of that grace. And if you learn to give thanks for it, your heart expands, transforming the home into a temple. When you begin to look with this awareness, your house changes. The walls are the same, the furniture the same, but the energy is different. Because now you do not see only a physical space, but an intimate ashram, a temple where your soul practices spirituality every day. Every argument becomes active meditation. Can I remain calm? Every shared task becomes service. Can I do it with love, without expecting anything in return? Every embrace becomes prayer. Can I see in her the face of God? Thus, little by little, marriage ceases to be only coexistence and becomes a path of liberation. Love as liberation. Yogananda taught that true love is not possession nor attachment. It is expansion of the heart. It is seeing the other as soul, not as property. When you love your wife in this way, your love becomes a bridge to God. You no longer ask, "What do I receive?" but "What am I learning? What am I giving?" That change transforms everything, because you stop measuring love by the amount of pleasure or comfort, and you measure it by the depth of your consciousness. Your wife, then, is not only someone with whom you share life. She is the instrument that life uses to show you who you are and who you can become. Union as offering to the divine. The scriptures say that when two souls unite in conscious love, their union is not only human, but divine. Marriage, lived with this vision, is an offering to God. Every gesture of service, every act of understanding, every reconciliation after conflict is spiritual incense rising upward. That is why Yogananda said, every relationship can be a path of liberation if you know how to see it with the eyes of the soul. Your wife is your karma, because she reflects the seeds of your past. But she is also your grace, because through her you can overcome those patterns and awaken to your true self. Seeing with new eyes. From today, try to look at her differently. Beyond her face, her words, her gestures. See her as a divine spark, as an eternal traveler walking beside you. In moments of joy, give thanks for the grace. In moments of conflict, recognize the karma. And in both cases, maintain the awareness that every moment with her is part of your spiritual evolution. When you do this, your house will become a temple, your arguments will become purification, and your love will become prayer. Questions for reflection. What patterns repeat in your relationship? What do they teach you about your karmic past? What gestures of grace does your wife perform that you may not have recognized? How can you transform moments of conflict into opportunities for growth? In what ways can you see your wife more as a soul and less as a personality? Answering these questions is not an intellectual exercise, it is spiritual practice. Dear soul who listens to or reads these words, your wife is not an accident in your life. She is karma that returns. She is grace that sustains. She is teacher in disguise. When you learn to see her with this awareness, your marriage ceases to be a human contract and becomes a sacred path toward liberation. Yogananda summed it up in a luminous phrase, true love is not of the body, it is of the soul. Love your wife from the soul, and you will discover that she, indeed, is your past, your test, and your grace. May your heart remain open, your soul strong, and your love always unconditional. Jai Gurudev. If this message touched your heart and helped you to better understand the journey, remembering that she is part of your karma and your spiritual growth, support our work with a super thanks so that we can continue creating transformative content with themes that inspire, help people, and bring more light to every life. Do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if it resonates with you, and share it with your friends so that our message may reach where it is needed.